We get back now to studio where we are talking about matters Customer Service Week, what the customer experience means for businesses and why more businesses should take these into consideration. Joining me now in studio is Alex Muriu, the head of customer experience ABSA. Of course, we have been with Judith Atieno, the customer experience manager at Minet. Alex, karibu sana, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Karibu.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Karibu sana.
Yeah.
Tell us, what does customer experience mean for you?
Customer experience, given it's something I've chosen to dedicate my career to, alongside my colleague here, it means a lot. To me, I came from a technology background before I transitioned into this space. I've also worked in marketing for a while. And what attracted me to customer experience was the way it connects the sales objectives of the organization to the needs of the person being served by the organization. And there's a sweet spot in there where it has to be a win-win affair, right? I listened to some of the discussions you were having earlier, and I was amused because it's a common joke in the industry that during this week we are all very nice to customers, right? While the rest of the year, you struggle to find us, calls are not being picked and things like that. That for me remains a challenge that I say, how can we transform the organizations that we serve to be customer-centric from January 1st to December 31st, right? Because when that does happen, then you end up with that win-win relationship. So it means a lot to me because it's the moment of truth right there. What we say in marketing is we're going to do this and we're going to do this, come to us and you're going to get this and the other, right? But then when you walk through the door, is that promise what is being kept? That's what customer experience seeks to do, make sure that the promise is delivered. And that's why I think it's so critical to business today. Very
critical. Of course, there are some businesses that consider customer experience as an expense rather than a driver of growth. What would you tell such businesses?
There's a lot of data that actually negates that perspective, right? And organizations that have scored and ranked higher, and this is across the globe, on customer experience have also ranked higher than those that rank lower on customer experience on sales and revenue performance. I'm talking up to 30-40% higher performance. So customer experience then, when you think about it from that lens, is not an expense, it's actually an investment, right? Think of it this way. If you experience a service from a business that has 5 different products, right? And the one product that you signed up for and you had a great experience with that product, if they come to you tomorrow and they ask you to take a second product, you're more inclined to that by virtue of the first experience. That leads to increased share of wallet, right? And again, data supports that better experiences leads to increased share of wallet. So it's not an expense. Every cent you put into enhancing your experience, Judith was talking about the design aspect of it. Every cent you invest in designing a better experience for your customer leads to a return on investment in increased share of wallet, increased recommendations, because word of mouth remains, even today with social media and everything, word of mouth is still the most powerful mode of marketing that any business can hope for. How do you get word of mouth? Great experiences. So it's not an expense.
Right, it's not an expense. I'd like to get your perspective on how to inculcate the customer experience journey to the whole, personnel in the company, not just customer experience teams.
That's a really good point. And when you're thinking about the trends in customer experience, there's something now we call total experience, which is saying that before you go to try and deliver great experiences to the people outside, it has to start with the people inside. So we call them the internal customers. That's the colleagues, that's the people working in the back office and all these other people in the studio, is the people working behind those cameras right there, right? So what does that mean? It means that if I am feeling empowered to do my job, if I'm feeling recognized and rewarded for doing a great job, if every time a customer says something good about me, there's an aspect of internal recognition for that, and that's something we're very big on at ABSA today. Tomorrow I will show up to work and I will try to do better, because as human beings we thrive on that. We thrive on gratification and motivation, right? So internal service automatically translates to great external service. So when we as CX professionals are designing experiences and we're coming up with these journeys, the journey doesn't start and end with the customer. It goes beyond the customer to also talk about the journey of the colleague who is expected to deliver that service. And this conflict between service delivery and digitization, where there's this conversation that, okay, so if we're going to digitize, then why do we need the people, right? But the digital experience is a reflection of the human experience, right? If as an organization, for instance, you have not insisted on, let's say, empathy or honesty, as Judith was talking about, that will show up in how you're transparently demonstrating your pricing on your digital platforms. It will show up in your customer support when I call in and I'm saying I have a problem, and the people on the other side, because they can't see me, they don't feel my pain, right? We hear that from customers all the time. You guys don't understand how important this is to me. The way to deal with that is make sure your internal customers are very empowered and very, not only capable, but motivated to deliver that win-win relationship that I talked about earlier.
Right. Judith, you're nodding in agreement, as he was speaking. I'd like to get your thoughts on that.
I was telling a friend of mine, I thought I ran away from mathematics until I got back and I realized CX plus EX equals TX. Customer experience plus employee experience gives us the total experience. So yes, the overall experience must be looked at. How our employees are treated and how easy is it for them to use the apps and all the tools that help them to support customers? It shows up in the client experience and in how customers are experiencing our brand and our services. So absolutely agree with.
Yeah.
Right. They say that happy employees are 13% more productive. Imagine what that can do for our business in terms of sales and revenue. Yeah.
Yes.
I really like that.
Yeah?
Too.
All right. So the customer service week, it will end on, is it Sunday? Is it a whole week through to Sunday?
It's
or
a whole
is it
week.
just
You've got
Friday?
the working days, but for organizations that serve even on
until
weekends,
it's until Sunday.
Yeah.
So beyond that, what are we looking to ensure that we are achieving this level beyond just the customer service week? I'll start with you.
Okay. As I said before, it's I think it's a big conversation topic even in the circles that we operate in, right? Customer experience as a department is a fairly recent phenomenon in business. I think most of us have not been in these roles for longer than 5, 8, 7 years, if somebody has really been there. You're now seeing companies where the customer experience role is actually a director function now. That is already happening in banking, it's happening in telco and the rest of them. And what that then signals is that the importance of customer experience is going above, right, above a department. It's now becoming an organization-wide way of thinking. You're hearing CEOs talk more about being customer-centric and being customer-first all the time. 2 weeks ago, I was invited to do a board presentation on customer centricity for ABSA as a whole, right? And so when you're seeing board level, leadership saying, what are we doing as an entity to be more customer centric? Then you start realizing that it's stopped being an event, right? CX has stopped being a celebration that happens these 7 days in a year. It's now being recognized as a part of strategy when it comes to organizational transformation. And so for me, I think my short answer to that would be the more elevated it's becoming from a leadership and vision standpoint, then the more you will see it happening beyond the customer experience week. And that, I think, will really benefit the customers eventually, and we'll see more successful businesses as a result.
Right.
Yeah,
Judith, thoughts?
I think he has said everything I was going to say, but one of the key things in customer experience is it's a major conversation, and every team within, every person within your ecosystem, one way or the other, impacts the customer, everything that they do. And I think our customers look at what we do. Our roles are really administrative, and for our organizations, the customer just wants service, a good experience, value for money. So it's in the best interest to make sure that, the entire organization is aware of this and is taking steps. Start by including it in your strategy and having a clear strategy for customer experience. What is it we're doing, and how and when, and then monitor and evaluate, and you will definitely, the numbers you're talking about, you will be able to see them. The increase in increased loyalty, increased customers, increase in the word of mouth, those customers will be really, really higher. So indeed, very important to have those conversations across the board and have a strategy that speaks to it.
Right, very important. Alex, since you're in the banking industry, I'd like to get from you how you deal with a communications crisis, because that is something that can lead to a bank run, if you're not careful with it. Yeah. So how do you deal with this situation so that they don't escalate to that point?
That's a really good question, Betty. That's item we've just talked about earlier around empowerment of every single person across the chain is one of the foolproof ways of ensuring you don't end up there. And I'll tell you how. The reason an incident ends up becoming a crisis is because at the first point of contact, somebody mishandled it. Then it was escalated to the second point of contact, right? The second point, it got mishandled, and so forth. So it becomes a chain reaction. Now, if it so happens that that incident at the beginning did not just affect one person, but affected a multitude of people and still got mishandled across the chain, then you end up with a crisis. So I cannot overemphasize total experience enough, because that incident, how well it's taken care of, that's what makes all the difference, right? So that's number one. Number two is, I think now organizations, and especially in banking, I've been in banking for the last 10 years. In banking, we have now started appreciating customer feedback more and not viewing it as a threat. There was a time, even just getting a social media page alive for banking, I remember when I started out, was a problem. And it was like, are you sure we want to do it? Do we want to moderate the comments? Do we want, can we delete them as they come in? That, we've come a long way from there, because customers just want to be heard. They want to feel heard, and they want to feel that we didn't just hear them, but we actually took the time to address what they were talking about. And so today, social media, for instance, has become a really strong tool for us in banking to enhance services, to review our products, to review our prices, to review our policies, and it's free. Again, I don't have to pay Ipsos or any other big research company to go and tell me this information now. I get a report every single morning on what is happening on social media. And that report helps us to know what we need to change that week, right? That report goes all the way to our MD, right? So that means before a crisis comes up, we will have picked up on it long before that happens. And I think today, if a bank finds itself in that situation, then there was an incident that was mishandled and they're not listening. If you're listening, you will not find yourself in that situation.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to listen.
You have to
listen.
listen.
The lifeline of your business.
You have to listen.
Right.
Yeah.
So as we come to a close of the conversation, I'd like to get your thoughts on the future of customer experience. I mean, with all the, AI coming up, you said it's not really taking up the jobs because humans still want human interaction rather. So what is the future of customer experience, looking like? Judith?
Yeah, automation has come in place and it's making life easier for us. I talked about big data. We're able to serve our customers better because we're hearing them. We're able to see, for example, if I look at our healthcare business, and our customers are talking to us, they're visiting hospitals. Right now, AI is able to show me when are the days people are going to hospital the most. And I'm able to guide my customers and tell them, this is where you'd expect a dip in productivity these days. Is there something happening within your business that you need to change? So we're able to tailor-make solutions, for example, that guide businesses in terms of, reduce productivity as a result of sick absence. We're able to, do work faster. I'm out here, but my customers need to be responded to. AI can quickly, send an automated message, we will respond to you and raise a ticket, and somebody is able to quickly resolve, doesn't need me to be there. Then I go back and I'm able to tie that loop and give it a human touch. So there's so many things that AI and the future of customer experience are making so much easier. The emotional connection, we have more time to structure and tailor solutions and, bring in the emotional connection, because AI and, digitization is making things so much easier for us. So I don't need to do all the hard work with Excel and, I just run reports and I'm able to get what I need to be able to guide my customers. Voice of customer. It's easier to collect feedback. We have tools that now consolidate all that feedback for us. Again, I'm able to know what's the pain my customers are facing very, very quickly, catch it quickly, kill it quickly, put in, preventive action in place, and of course improvement so that the whole experience is improved. So the future looks very, very bright for customer experience. I don't see anybody worrying about, AI and technology taking over, because the human connection is still needed.
Very much
in a
so.
lot of that.
Awesome. Thank you, Judith. Alex, yourself?
No, really, really well said. I read somewhere, they said that people shouldn't be afraid of AI. They should be afraid of people who embrace AI, right? Because what AI does, it simply accelerates, right? I don't even call it acceleration anymore because it's so exponential, right? I'll give you an example. We started doing text analytics at ABSA. So some bright data scientists in the office deployed this machine learning code. So we get feedback on SMS, on email, on social media, right? Now we are transcribing the voice feedback that is coming into text as well. And this brilliant line of code is able to read through this hundreds and thousands of text and extract customer sentiments, extract keywords, and even tell us 3 things we should focus on out of all that. It's become like our own internal chat GPT, right? That's the power of AI, that I don't need a room full of analysts anymore to take a week to come back and tell me that these are the 5 things that our customers are complaining about. Today, we are able to do that on a daily basis. So yesterday, these were the 3 top issues that our customers complained about. What are we doing about it today? Tomorrow, it will have changed because the world is moving very fast. And so the future is we call it humanized digital experiences, meaning that first and foremost, the baseline, the foundations of the values of customer centricity, like the heart that Judith talked about earlier. So those, you can't run away from those, all right? Because we are human first before we are technology. But then layer technology on that, right? And translate those values into something that benefits the customer, but benefits them in real time, because personalization is the new normal now, right? I don't want to have the same experience as Betty because I am very different from Betty, right? Now, if you as an entity are able to give me that kind of an experience that is uniquely mine, I call it my Netflix moment, right? Then you've got my money. That's the future. It's really not even the future, it's the present, if you ask me.
Right.
The future is agile.
Future is agile.
It's the present.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate you talking to us.
Thank you.
Awesome. I have been talking with Alex Muriu, the head of customer experience at ABSA, as well as Judith Atieno, the customer experience manager at Minet. We have talked about Customer Service Week, what customer experience means for businesses, for customers, and why employees are a very key part of this customer experience. BizCheck takes a quick break. When we come back, a conversation on matters real estate. Do stay with us. Now we want to transition to our second interview here on BizCheck, and we want to talk about matters real estate, the regulation of estate agencies in Kenya. The board that is mandated to do this by law is the Estates Agents Registration Board of Kenya, that is EARB. And with me in studio is Eunice Macharia, who is the chairperson, as well as Jesse Kihoro, who is a board member. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Karibuni sana. I will start with you, Eunice. Could you just give us an overview of what EARB is and what it does?
Thank you, Betty, and thank you for having us in the studio today. Estate Agents Registration Board is the regulatory authority that registers estate agents in Kenya. It also licenses them to practice, and it's the only body in Kenya that is mandated by law under the Estate Agents Act Cap 533 of the laws of Kenya to regulate and to register estate agents. The board was formed way back in 1980s when the act came into force, and currently we have about 3,000 members who are registered and licensed to practice in Kenya. And our members spring from the lowest person that you'd think in the estate agency, probably the caretaker, all the way to the person who manages the big malls in the cities, the property managers, the facility managers, the caretakers. We also, the members who facilitate sales and lettings, the persons who, I think we normally call them agents or brokers, those are estate agents. So it's a quite a wide portfolio in the real estate agency, springing all the way from, like I said, the caretaker and all the way to the property manager or the facilities manager or the retail manager that is managing big complexes like Two Rivers. You have heard of companies like Knight Frank. You may be familiar with such names like Lloyd Masika, Tyson's. Those persons are estate agents. And the board comprises of 9 members who are drawn from the public and the private sector. We have a registrar who is a public officer, and you have members who are board members who are really experts in the real estate industry. And they are selected and appointed by the cabinet secretary in charge of lands. So the board basically operates under the Ministry of Lands currently under the State Department of Housing.
Jesse, could you just tell us how important estate agents are to the real estate subsector?
I think estate agents facilitate transactions in real estate. When you want a house, you want to buy a house, I think it's very tedious when you move around town trying to get yourself the house. But when you go to an estate agent, they already have a portfolio. They already know the areas and the possible asking prices. And when you give them the house that you need, they're in a position to give you the choices. They're also very important in facilitating the transaction, doing the odd running of taking documents from offices to offices to facilitate the signing. They're also very important in terms of carrying out the initial due diligence. That is looking at how the property is, whether the title is okay, looking at whether that property has some other issues that would affect the ownership. So an estate agent is a very important person in estate agent's transaction. And also looking after properties when they are constructed, so that those people who are living in those properties can have a comfortable life. The property manager is an estate agent. He is the person who does the maintenance, who looks after the property, making sure that every bit is working. The lifts, they are being maintained regularly so that they don't just break down. And basically looking after the properties that we have around.
For these estate agents, how exactly do you regulate them? And you said there are about 3,000 registered members. Right. Are you looking to increase this number? Because I'm sure most landlords, they just get a brother from Ushago, to come manage the property. So how do you ensure that it is more, regulated?
Indeed, Betty, and you have touched on a very important point there, that most of us look to our relatives to help us in managing our properties. And in fact, our brothers and sisters in the diaspora who have invested in real estate in the country, most of them have employed their brothers, their mothers, their sisters to do the rent collection and to do the oversight of a maintenance for them. And this is a challenge because if there is a misdeed by your cousin or your sister, it's very difficult for you to take action against your own kin. But when you employ an estate agent to look after your property, to do the rent collections, to do the maintenance and oversight, then if they have a problem, if you have a problem with them, then you can always come to the board and you carry out the disciplinary processes for such a person. So what I would say is that for you to be a registered estate agent, you need to apply. There are some mandatory forms that we have placed them even in our website. You can download the forms and sign them, fill them up and sign them and return them to us. We look mainly at the competence of the person who is applying, whether that person is properly exposed to the field of estate agency. Some of them have gone to school. We have students coming up from the universities with degrees in real estate. Actually, there are more than 4 universities that are offering that degree right now. We have University of Nairobi, we have Jomo Kenyatta, we have Kenyatta University, we have KEMU, and I think a few others. We also have TUK, Technical University of Kenya, who are offering degrees in real estate. So real estate is a profession. Because you go to school and you study for 4 years and come out with a degree in real estate, and you can even do a master's in the same field. So when these persons come and the application is done, then we look at the competency of that person. We look at how well they are fast with the laws, with the land laws, the processes and the procedures in real estate. We look at them. They need a mandatory of 2 years experience in the country. And if you are coming from outside, then we require at least 6 months experience in the country. So we look at basically how competent are you? Have you done the necessary study? Have you done do you have the necessary experience to be able to practice as an estate agent? And the reason is, as a board has been mandated, is to ensure that we protect the public, because we do not want to release persons with certificates in the industry who are not competent, who are not familiar with planning laws, who are not familiar with land laws, who are not familiar with new laws that have come out, like the Section of Properties Act, who are not familiar with the field generally, and they are not able to offer, good advice to their customers. So our work is to ensure that the persons that we register and license to practice, those persons are competent. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a lot of mistrust, between landlords or caretakers and the tenants. Sometimes people say, probably I will not get my deposit back.
Yes.
So I will just stay until the last day, eat my deposit, and then move out, surprisingly move out.
Kukalia deposit.
Yes, kukalia deposit, that's what they say.
Yeah.
So how is the board, working on this to ensure that there is more, trust and transparency in the industry?
I think the biggest one, really, Betty, is to equip the persons who are practicing as estate agents. Mm-hmm. And we have rolled out a training curriculum for our property agents. We have also rolled out, we have several programs, training programs. And we're also looking towards working with the colleges and universities in rolling out these training programs. Because when the person is equipped, then they know what they're supposed to do. And they're going to avoid some of those measures that they use when they are trying to collect rent, like even locking houses or removing doors or removing. I hear some people remove even the roof.
My goodness. It is extreme.
To try and enforce rent payment.
Uh-huh.
And also what you're discussing about mistrust between the agents and the landlords. And I would say mainly it's because the landlords will employ incompetent estate agents. And if someone is not competent, then what do you expect from them? You cannot expect a professional service. But if someone has gone through the works, the training, and has gone through the experience, and they have been trained by a registered estate agent, that person is competent, and they have something to protect. They have a profession to protect. There are things I cannot do as an estate agent who is registered just because I want to protect my professionalism. But if you are employing someone who is not a professional, you are employing a quack. Then the quack can do anything. They will move. Today they are here, tomorrow they are in another location. They are in an office today, tomorrow you find the office does not exist. Mm-hmm. But if you are employing someone who is competent, someone who has a certificate of registration, someone who has a license to practice, and that person is unlikely to cause any harm. And they will be trying to give you a professional service because they are also trying to grow in their career. They want to protect what they have.
Jesse, I'd like to get your thoughts on documentation, you know. For most people, they are looking for maybe houses to move into. It's word of mouth, you know, you agree, I'll stay here for this long, deposit it, Arudisha after this long. How important is having a lease signed by both parties?
I think everything that we do in real estate boils down to the contract between the parties. And usually, we start with the contract between the landlord and the agent, so that agent can give you the power, that landlord can give the agent the powers to deal with your property. So they sign either a management agreement or a letting and selling agreement. Then when you get a client or a prospect and they are happy with the house, they either buy or rent, then you sign a tenancy agreement, or what is called the lease agreement. So I think basically it is very important when that agreement is executed by all the parties, signed and then registered, so that the government usually charges stamp duty. So if you go to enforce such a document in court, then you have not paid the requisite taxes, the court will listen to you. So basically you need to have a written down contract or a lease agreement, a tenancy agreement for the period that you have agreed. Then execute it and have it registered so that it can have the force of law. That is how you protect yourself. Otherwise the word of mouth will change with time. And you know, things change. The landlord can pass on, or even the tenant, and the family is left and they don't know what normally happens, and the terms can be changed. So it is very important to put down the terms in paper, down on paper, so that you can be sure. I'm paying 10,000 for how long? Will the rent increase after that? Because we have what we call escalation clauses in tenancy agreements. Will you increase the rent every 2 years or after 1 year? How long am I staying in this house? What are my obligations? Am I the one who is to carry out the repairs, and to what extent? So all these are covered in the rental agreement, so that in case of a dispute, you have a document that you can refer to and say, look here, we agreed this and this, you have done this. So with that written agreement and with the terms and conditions well spelled out, you can be in a position to solve that dispute very fast. Otherwise, you won't resort to closing the doors, pouring sewage in the compound so that the tenants can move out. Yes.
Right. Beyond the rental bit of it, there's also the land issue.
Yes.
Very many Kenyans have fallen prey to unscrupulous dealers, you know, claiming that they can sell land, and at the end of the day, you've given your money, but there's no land to show for it.
Yes.
How do you regulate this sector? And what would you advise Kenyans who are looking to, say, purchase land?
What I would say that we are looking to expand the role of the bandit or the board to expand to possibly even the regulation of, property developers, as we call them, because we have our site and service schemes, which is what we have where land buying companies will buy a parcel of land, subdivide, and then they sell back in small portions to purchasers, maybe an eighth of an acre, a quarter of an acre, etc. And we have so many of them who are doing that right now. What I would say for the buyer to protect themselves, they need to do due diligence. Due diligence in two ways. I would say, first of all, you need to do a due diligence on the person who is selling to you that property. Because we also know that they do a lot of marketing. And they have these buses, bus tours, and they have other ways of attracting their customers. So it is important that for a purchaser to do due diligence on the person who is selling to you. Find out what kind of business they are into, find out who their directors are. You can do a company search. You can also check what other schemes they have had in the past. Are they successful? Have they been transferred successfully to the purchasers? Find out their success rates in the past. Then it's also important to do due diligence on the land that you're buying, because most of them will possibly even collect funds from the public or from the interested purchasers, and then they use that money to go and buy the land. And we have had a few cases, several of them really, where purchasers have been duped. You put in your money to buy a land that did not exist. But you see, it never existed even at the point where you put in the deposit. And like my colleague is saying, it's very also important to have proper documentation and contracts. What kind of a contract are you going into? But check that the land exists. Check that the land has the necessary papers. It has a title deed. Check who are the owners of that land. Check, agree with the seller on the timelines. When do you expect to have your title? When do you expect them to have finalized the subdivision? Because most of them sell before they even finalize the subdivision. Do they have an approval from the county authorities? Do they have an approval to subdivide? Have they provided for the infrastructure? Do some real nice background check. And if you are a Kenyan like many of us who do not understand the going-ins in the real estate, seek the services of a professional. Come to us. You can hire a real estate expert. You can hire a land valuer. You can hire a surveyor to even go and show you where the beacons of that parcel of land are. So that by the time you put in your money, you are really sure what you are going into. And I would say a lot of times we run into committing ourselves to deals, land deals, because they look very attractive, but we have not really taken time to check the background of the land, or even the persons or the companies that are selling to us that land.
Right. So due diligence is very important when you are purchasing land. Remember to make sure that you know who the owners are. Do they have the right paperwork? And is that land even allowed for sale, by the authorities? We are talking with the Estate Agents Registration Board of Kenya Chairperson Eunice Macharia, as well as board member of the particular board, EARB, that is Jesse Kihoro. I'd like to find out from you, it is clear that there's a lot of information that needs to be passed out to the public. Are you undertaking any sensitization projects? I'll start with you, Jesse.
Yes, there is a lot of sensitization that we are carrying out. We have been to regions in this country, carrying out trainings for estate agents that are there. We started with Mombasa. We were there. Then we went to Kisumu, and we have also laid our plans to go to Nyanyuki, Eldoret, Nakuru, and other places throughout the country. Talking to these agents, we have also done ads on papers. And also we are making effort to appear on TV interviews like today. This is part of the efforts to reach out to as many Kenyans as possible, so that they know that they are supposed to deal with registered estate agents. And the board that is supposed to register estate agents is the Estate Agents Registration Board. So that they are not conned of their hard-earned money, and they end up losing out.
Have you a way that people can know if someone is a registered agent? And if so, what is the way that they can find out?
Every year, the board usually gazettes the list of all licensed and registered estate agents in March of every year. So if you go to the internet, you just need to go, and the gazette notice will appear. So alternatively, you can get to our website. The list is there of the estate agents who are registered every year. You can get to the secretariat, and the secretariat can check for you whether the person that you are dealing with is a registered estate agent.
Right. There are claims that there are some people who want to claim that they are the body that's mandated to regulate agents. Yeah. What is your comment on this, and how are you dealing with this?
Betty, thank you for that question. Before I answer that, let me just add on what my colleagues say in the issue of sensitization, because we are doing regional forums, and we have done quite a number of them. We are also, in the social media, we are very active on our Twitter handle and Facebook and all the other social media forums. We are very active. And we have also, a program where we are reaching out to organizations and companies just to tell them that if you are dealing on matters real estate, deal with a registered estate agent. We are also working with the judiciary. We are working with the DCI. We are working with the police just to ensure that there is a bit of order in the sector, and we are able to weed out the quacks. And our biggest appeal is to also the persons who are in the market working and offering services of estate agency without registration. And we are calling on those persons to come and register with the board. We are also appealing to the consumers of the services of estate agency that they should not engage persons who are not registered. Coming back to your question, because we have, how it has worked in Kenya, we have a lot of cartels in land. We also have other groupings, and we have people now who are threatened by this kind of sensitization programs that we are doing. So we have some people who are grouping themselves and calling themselves Association of Stakeholders in Real Estate, and also claiming to register estate agents. And we are looking at the legal angle on how to, we have consulted with our lawyers so that we are able to take them to court, and also involving the police and the DCI to be able to track down on these associations. We are also, warning persons not to register with them, because the only body in Kenya that is mandated to register and regulate estate agents is the board, the Estate Agents Registration Board. So there may be just another scheme also to collect money, because I hear they are asking for funds for you to register, an annual fee also for you to remain in their registers. And the only authority, the only body that is mandated, again, by the law under the Estate Agents Act is the Estate Agents Board. So we would really ask the members of the public to be wary of these groupings.
Indeed, they should be. Thank you for that. I would like us to discuss the upcoming conference now as we come to a close of the conversation. What is happening? When is it happening? And, who are you calling upon to attend this particular conference?
The day is here. It's tomorrow. We'll be at the Safari Park Hotel. It is our second annual estate agent conference. We started way back in 2021, but of course there were disruption to do with COVID, so not very many people are able to attend. But this one, all the estate agents throughout the country, those who are seeking registration and those who are already registered, will be at the Safari Park Hotel. We have also exhibitors, those who sell land, those who sell properties, and basically those who offer products to the industry. They will be there exhibiting. The banks. We have Cooperative Bank on board. We have Barclays Bank on board. We have Safaricom on board. So it will be an exciting time for estate agents. And also the speakers, the wide array of speakers that we have been in a position to gather, will be offering good topics on real estate agency, and it will be a very fruitful engagement with the estate agent. The charges are just 9,500. That will take care of the meals and also the attending the conference. And basically that's a very good investment for people who want to progress in estate agency. And these are the forums that the board is offering the estate agents so that they can have better skills in dealing with the work that they are doing. They can be in a better position to deal with the public, and their businesses can grow. As my chair has said, let us avoid these other guys who are trying to get money from the public in the guise of registering estate agents. The board members are usually there for a period of 3 years. And of course, when we speak about other associations, I'm very sure the leaders will be there in perpetuity, collecting money from the estate agents.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. You want to add something?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just to add, Betty, that the board also has initiated a lot of programs to be able to bring in a lot of agents who are not registered. One of them is we have introduced a regulation that we are hoping to go through the parliament, and that is on categorization of estate agents. We have, just realized that the act that we operate under has a bit of challenges because because of age. It's a 1987 act that needs to be updated, and one of the areas we want to update is to categorize estate agents. So that the certificates that you offer, like when you go to the National Construction Authority, you can start from a certain category and you can grow all the way. And then, like any other industry, we recognize there are different players who are offering services at different levels. There's a caretaker, there's a property manager, there's someone who has gone to school, done even a PhD in real estate, and they are registered estate agents. So how do we recognize everybody who is offering a service in the real estate, and by just putting them in their category and allowing them room for growth through the ranks as they continue to develop themselves. And also, of course, the code of conduct, so that when the consumers engage the estate agent, then they are sure that they ascribe to a certain code of conduct. So there are several initiatives, and also just updating of the act so that it is at par with other legislations and it responds to the existing times and the growth in the industry.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I would like to give you each 1 minute to give me your closing remarks as we come to a close of the conversation. I'll start with you, Jesse.
Yeah, thanks a lot for hosting us today. And mine is to call upon Kenyans to deal with the registered estate agents, because there is a board that usually regulates them. And in case of a problem, you can get to the board and we can deal with that estate agent who is errant. Again, to all property owners, please make sure the person that is managing your property is a trained real estate expert, and the only way you can be sure that that person has the requisite knowledge and experience is by asking them to provide you with their registration certificate and the licenses. So make sure if you're buying a property, go to a registered estate agent, that you'll be sure that this person will not con you and you will not lose your money. Our diaspora community, they have invested a lot in real estate, and now that the exchange rate is favorable for them, I know most of them will be investing in real estate. Avoid those guys that are not registered. There is no need of you being taken to the wilderness to buy a 50 by 100 that you will never use. Get proper advice from real estate experts, and they are registered estate agents. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Eunice?
For me is to thank you, Betty, for inviting us to this program, and also to tell the members of the public that the doors for the Estate Agents Registration Board are open. You can come in and dialogue with us if you have any question. We have a website that is very active. You can engage with us through our social media platforms. You can come to our office. We are also digitizing our records and our processes. So very soon you'll be able to, on a click of a button, be able to check whether or not the person who is offering you a service is a registered estate agent. And I think that will be a big leap in the fighting of the quacks and other persons who are imposing themselves in the industry as experts, and they're not experts. But we have enough expertise, and you can engage with us. If you have any challenge, you have any problem with the person who is offering you a service, feel free to come to us, and we'll be able to respond to your queries and also guide you on how to go. If you are not registered, like my colleague has said, kindly make sure that you apply for application, you apply for registration. And we are hoping to see all of you tomorrow at the conference. It will be very insightful discussions. We have persons from the public sector. We have the head of judiciary, persons from the judiciary coming to interact with us. We have our own members who are practicing both in private and in the public sector who are also joining us. So we are going to have very, very interesting and insightful discussions, and we're inviting everyone to join us tomorrow for the conference at Safari Park Hotel from 8 a.m.
Awesome. Thank you very much for speaking with us and having this conversation. I have been speaking with Jesse Kihoro, a board member at the Estate Agents Registration Board of Kenya, as well as the board chairperson, Eunice Masharia, also at the Estate Agents Registration Board of Kenya. We've talked about the regulation of the estate agents and, of course, that particular call for registration. If you are an estate agent who is practicing without registration, you want to make a point of getting registered with a body that is mandated by the Constitution to actually regulate the estate agents. Well, that is where we close BizCheck this particular morning. It's still morning, almost at noon. Thank you very much for joining us and watching the show. We do appreciate your company. My name is Betty Kiptum. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. Bye-bye.